Every night, the old books in her workshop began to whisper their forgotten stories to her. Eleanor was 72 and had spent 50 years binding books in a dusty shop on a narrow street in Edinburgh. She had repaired thousands of volumes, but never once heard them speak until last winter. The first voice came from a water-damaged atlas that had arrived in a box of damaged stock. It whispered about a sailor named James who had drawn every coast from memory after losing his sight. Eleanor sat up in bed and wrote down every word before the voice faded into silence. The next night, a torn cookbook spoke of a woman in Naples who fed her entire street during a long siege. Then a cracked poetry book recited verses that a soldier had written for a girl he never saw again. Each book carried a life inside it, not the author but someone who had loved the pages. Eleanor began staying awake with pen and paper, transcribing every whisper before dawn. She filled one notebook, then another, then a dozen more with stories no one had ever recorded. Her hands ached and her eyes grew heavy, but she could not stop writing. The books spoke faster now, desperate to be heard before their pages crumbled to dust. A children's picture book told of a boy in Warsaw who hid it inside his coat during a terrible winter. A travel guide whispered about a mother in Lisbon who pressed flowers from every country she never visited. Eleanor realized these were not the stories of famous people but of ordinary souls who had loved deeply. She bound all her notebooks into a single thick volume with a deep blue leather cover. She titled it The Archive of Forgotten Lives and placed it on her workbench. When she died 3 years later, the shop was cleared out by her niece. The niece found the blue leather book and opened it to the first page. She read one story, then another, then sat down and read the entire volume in a single night. She donated the book to the Edinburgh Public Library, where it became the most borrowed title in the city. People said the book felt warm to the touch, as if the stories inside were still alive, and late at night, the librarians swore they could hear the faintest whisper from its pages.